What's going on, guys? My name is Wade with Tech Daily. So Apple gave us our first look at the next version of iOS, iOS 10, a couple weeks ago at WWDC. I've been running the iOS 10 beta since it came out, and rather than sit here and go over every new feature and little detail of iOS 10, there are plenty of videos out like that already. I thought I'd give you guys my thoughts on using iOS 10, some things I like, some things I don't, and the overall experience. So right off the bat, you'll notice that there aren't any major visual changes in iOS 10. You can say that it's boring, it's looked the same the last 9 years, it needs a refresh, but in my opinion, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. It's the same clean looking OS that we're familiar with and most of us have come to love. One thing that I haven't loved is having to have a useless junk folder of stock apps that I couldn't ever delete from my home screen. But luckily this problem has almost been solved with iOS 10. You can see that when you edit the home screen, you can now remove a lot of the stock apps that come pre-installed, which is awesome, but you can't remove every app. So news, health, wallet, activity, those are all still stuck in a junk folder for me. My home screen is cleaner, but still not 100% where I'd like it. It's nice that it's easy to reinstall the default apps too if I ever change my mind, but I probably won't change my mind once they're gone. The Messages app definitely received some big upgrades and interesting features added, most of which I can say I probably won't ever use though. Emojis are bigger if you're into that. You can draw out pictures and send your heartbeat like the Apple Watch. And you can even add some flair to the iMessages that you send by animating them to bounce around a certain way, or even display an entire animation across the screen with balloons and confetti and fireworks. I could see using some of these like every once in a while maybe. It's kind of gimmicky, and I give Apple credit for some creativity, but I wouldn't say that it's something that will greatly improve the way I use iMessage. Apple Music got a pretty big overhaul from top to bottom, lots of changes in the UI department that make it look sort of Windows Phone-esque. But Spotify is still the only music service for me, and you'll have to pry it from my cold dead hands before you can get me to hop on the Apple Music bandwagon. The lock screen also got some pretty big changes. Raise to wake is pretty cool, definitely useful, but you'll notice that slide to unlock, one of the most iconic features of the iPhone, is now gone. Pressing the home button using Touch ID is how you unlock the device now. Sliding to the left leads you to the page showing all the different widgets you have installed, and sliding to the right launches the camera. I'm not gonna lie, I'm a little sad slide to unlock is gone. The lock screen feels a little clunky now. I'll get used to it, but not the most needed change. Speaking of widgets, they're all found to the left of the home screen now, and I've actually found these relatively useful. It's nice to get a glance of the weather, news headlines, and any events I have for the day, and you can edit and add most of the other apps you have installed to show up there too. Definitely prefer this setup than how they were on the notification center. One thing I don't prefer now though is how the music controls have been added to a second page of the control center. I kid you not, it took me like 3 days to figure out that they were on a second page. You get to see some nice album artwork when your music is playing, but yeah, not really a fan. The Photos app has also changed a bit once again. You still get the camera roll, which is honestly all I ever need. The big ass album thumbnails seem kind of unnecessary, but it's not awful, I guess. I've kind of just come to expect the Photos app to be different in every new iOS version now. And of course, with the iPhone 6s, Apple is really trying to make 3D Touch happen. I gotta be honest, I use 3D Touch like maybe one time a day. You can 3D Touch even more apps, even some more in-app stuff now. I've been trying really hard to figure out how I can use 3D Touch more, but it just ain't happening. Sorry, Apple. One last thing. You guys hear that? Yeah, new keyboard clicking sound. Not terrible, but I was a little surprised to hear it. So I know this video was a little ranty. I don't dislike iOS 10 at all. I think a lot of the features are kind of cool and some of them are much needed, but this was just my thoughts on some things after having used it for the last couple of weeks. And hopefully you guys got a feel for iOS 10 as well before it gets released this fall. So hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. Let me know what you think of iOS 10 in the comments below. Also, be sure to follow Tech Daily on Twitter and subscribe to the Tech Daily YouTube channel if you haven't already, and I'll see you guys later.